In this video, I will explain how to avoid font problems on the CoTrails.org website. You can see here on the home page we have one post which turned out just fine. The fonts are fine and everything looks good. But you see on the next post it's a different font, it's all bold, and the margins are wrong. So the question is, how do you avoid this? Well, the reason that this turned out the way it did is that it was cut and pasted from, in this case, a PDF, but from another document. So for example, you might have, this is what the original document looked like. So if you simply do, a copy, right, and then come over here to WordPress and just paste it in, right, that's what it'll look like. And what's happening is that WordPress is picking up all of the coding that was in the original document. So we don't really want that. So what you're going to do instead is to use one of these handy buttons in the editor. Notice that I'm in Edit Post. It looks the same if you're writing a new post. Now, one thing that might happen is if your screen looks like this, where you've only got one row of buttons, the first thing you need to do is click this last one in the row, which is called the kitchen sink, and it just means that if you want to see all the options, you click on it. So then you get a second row of options, which is very helpful. So for this particular case, what you're going to want to do is to use this little icon here with a T on it, paste as plain text. If you wanted to keep some of the coding, you'd paste from Word, but we are going to want you to paste from plain text. So if you click on that, this little window pops open, and as it says, you can use Control-V on your keyboard, and it just puts in the words. So, and you'll see that. So go ahead and click Insert. Now, the other thing, though, that you're going to want to do is to make sure that it's all the same. So you want to select the whole thing. That's Control-A on Windows, and then click Paragraph just to make sure, even if it's already there, you want to be sure that the whole thing is paragraph. All right, so now we're going to click Update over here and wait for that little spinning wheel to stop, and it'll say Post Updated, View Post. So let's open this in another tab and see what it looks like. So now you can see at least it's in the right font. It still has some spacing problems though, which is another issue. So in order to copy and paste from a PDF and not have any of this formatting, you would actually have to go through and clear every line by hand so that you didn't get this margin. The reason is that Adobe Acrobat actually inserts at the end of every line what's called a hard return. So it can't be removed except by actually going through every line and deleting it, unless you install a special piece of software to do that for you. So, and most of the time it's probably not worth it. So if when you have to copy and paste, it's always better to do it from a Word document for the exact reason that you can remove the formatting pretty easily. So in Word, there actually is a special thing you can do. This little button here in Word 2007, it's got a little eraser and it's next to the fonts, and it says clear formatting, and that's what you do to end up with a very plain text document. But you see that the margin is still exactly the same as it was before, and that's because it still carries over those hard returns as though each one were a new line, and in this case a new paragraph. So if at least the font is clear now, and if you wanted to do this differently, you would have to go through the post and actually go like this at the end of every line, do delete, and you can see how that brings it up so that it's all the same paragraph. So if it really bothers you, you have to go through and do it by hand, or as I said, use a separate program for that. But that's it. Hope that helps. You, by the way, can change other things about the font here. You can underline, you can change the color of the text, which normally you don't want to do. You can also choose one of these larger headings if you want to, for example, here, if you'd like to make some of these divisions larger, you might want to make them heading 4 or heading 3. Because that will make it bold and a bigger font. So hope that's helpful.